Swish. Heyo, what is going on everyone? Welcome back to another video. I'm Malicious Jasper, and today we're gonna be looking at, well, possibly the way things are going to go for Living World Season 3 in Guild Wars 2. And to look at this, we're gonna have to go back to the past. There are two things, actually three things that we need to look into. First of all, we're gonna need to look at the ending of the Heart of Thorns storyline. We're gonna need to look at the raid story or the raid lore, and then we've got to take a look at the current events that are going on, the extra leyline energy, and the increase in bandit attacks. Alright, so Season 3 of the Living World. The question is, what is it going to be about? Last Living World seasons have been about Mortemoth. Basically how Mortemoth was awakened by Scarlet. She was sort of possessed by him or controlled by him, corrupted, and she worked on to awakening him in the first season, and the second season was basically the player trying to gather support to fight Mortemoth before he became too powerful. Those two seasons were a bridge between the original story from Guild Wars 2 and the expansion pack. I believe that the new Living World seasons are going to do just that. They're going to form another bridge between this expansion pack, Heart of Thorns, the latest story in the series, and the new story that they're going to tell with their new expansion. Now, we need to take a look at the past and see what kind of direction they're going into. First of all, we need to take a look at Heart of Thorns. Heart of Thorns story has given us quite a few interesting things. Especially moving forward, we have Glyn's Egg that is actually the most important thing that I want to discuss. At the ending of the Heart of Thorns storyline, basically what happened was the Pact is now in ruins. They suffered tremendous losses at the hands of Mortemoth. Even before that, when they fought Zhaitan, they had severe casualties against Zhaitan and his minions, and they were not at full strength yet. So the fight against Mortemoth was a difficult one. They were hoping to catch him off guard, or at least when he's still weak, because the Elder Dragons, just after they've awakened, they are relatively weak compared to, you know, when they've been awakened for a longer period of time and they've been able to gather more magical items, or, you know, absorb more magic, thus becoming more powerful. So they want to attack Mortemoth while he was weak, but the Pact was not at full strength, or not at the same strength it was when it faced Zhaitan. Now with the losses of the airships, they suffered tremendous loss, and we don't know if they're going to be able to restore themselves back to their former glory. Most importantly, Trahearne, the Marshal, is dead. He was the last vestige of Mortemoth, because Mortemoth had implanted like his seed or his evilness in Trahearne, basically, or a part of himself in Trahearne. So Trahearne was corrupted, and if he was still alive, then Mortemoth would survive. So we had to kill/destroy Trahearne. So Trahearne is now dead. The Pact is without a leader. So I believe that going forward, the Pact is not going to play a giant role in the Living World anymore. I think Renet wants to move away from the Pact as an important force in the world. They'll still exist. They'll probably still exist in some form or another, or at least a closer cooperation between the three orders. But whether it's going to be a unified order that's taking orders from one person, I highly doubt it. So the Pact was destroyed. You and Destiny's Edge and Destiny's Edge 2.0, your new guild, you saved the day. Now, there's a little bit of discord in it, so people want to fight different dragons next, because Ridlock wants to fight Kralkatorrik, Braham wants to fight Jormak, and I understand why they want to do that. Those are the dragons that are threatening their homelands. Others want to solve some more personal problems. Skaith want to go back to the Grove, etc. So they're not there with a unified goal. So that's a little bit of a problem. That is something that you need to keep in mind. And then the other thing from the Heart of Thorn storyline that I want to address is the egg. The egg absorbed a whole bunch of ley line energy, or a whole bunch of magic that was released when you killed Mordramoth. So we don't know what's going to happen now. Is it going to hatch? Is it going to hatch soon? Is it going to be good, or is it going to be evil? We don't really know what's going to happen with that. And we don't know in what way or what role the egg will play. The reason why they wanted that egg is basically they wanted to have a force of good absorb all the energy that was released by the dragons when they were destroyed. Same way that Cormyr absorbed Abaddon's power when he was destroyed, they wanted to do something similar, but then with a dragon egg. That is the basic premises of it. So those are the things that you need to keep in mind when looking towards Season 3 of The Living World. The other thing that I want to address is the story from the raids. The story of the raids, I'm going to keep it fairly short, but basically it boils down to bandits are working for the White Mantle, and the White Mantle is trying to resurrect, or trying to bring back their unseen gods, and more importantly, or more specifically, they want to bring back Lazarus the Dire, or that's at least what we suspect at this time. They want to bring back Lazarus the Dire because we know that he's still alive, and that he survived the events from Guild Wars 1. So we think that he is going to that they want to revive him, that they want to bring him back to this world, and that he's going to lead the White Mantle once again back to glory. Now, what does that have to do with Living World Season 3, you might wonder, if it gets released? Very simple, because lately there have been small updates to the game. One update, the first one, was in the patch notes there was something, leyline energy has been surging or spiking, and there were a couple of new events in which minions of the other dragons were attacking leyline surges. Basically, they were attacking places where there was a lot of magic, and that shows us that the other dragons are willing to capitalize on Mordramoth's demise, and they want to take all the magic, all the energy that he had absorbed, they want to take it for themselves. So they want to become even more powerful. Those were the first new events. The second new events, which is something that you can do right now, is bandits. Bandits have been attacking Kryta more frequently, or the bandits' attacks have increased, and we know that there's a link between the bandits and the White Mantle. If you go and kill bandits, you can get encoded orders. You can go to Divinity's Reach, get them decoded. It will direct you to a couple of bandit bosses that you can defeat, and bandits can also now drop White Mantle badges. So we clearly know that those mantles, or those bandits, have ties to the White Mantle. And even before that, we kind of suspected that the White Mantle were basically the puppet masters of the bandits. That's what we suspected anyway. Now, what does that have to do with Season 3 of The Living World, you might ask? Well, Lazarus the Dire is a Mersat. It is possible that the release of energy from the destruction of Mordramoth gave enough energy to move their plans forward, gave them enough energy to resurrect or partially bring back Lazarus the Dire, and they want to move their plans ahead. We also need to remember that the Mersat were alive the last time the dragons were awakened. Right? The last time the dragons were awake, they were feeding on the magic of the world, and there were a whole bunch of races that were living that still exist. The Jotuns still exist. The Seers, they're probably dead by now, but in the original Guild Wars there were still one, or at least one, maybe couple of survivors from that race. You also had the Mersat. Even the Norn were supposedly alive then, or they existed when the dragons last roamed the earth, or roamed Tyria. So all these races existed then, and they're still alive right now, or most of them. But, and this is the big but, and this is important, the Mersat were the most powerful of these races, in the way that the other races locked magic away in the Bloodstones to prevent the dragons from feasting upon that magic, and because magic would be at an all-time low in the world, they would go back to sleep. Now the Mersat, they didn't do this. They didn't lock away their magic, but they phased themselves out of the world, which means that they regained, or they kept, a lot of their power. And they were a very powerful race, and that is the way that they escaped them the first time. Now, that's very interesting, because going forward with Season 3 of The Living World, it's probably going to make a bridge between Heart of Thorns and the new expansion, and we're probably going to face a new dragon, or one of the other dragons in the new expansion. The Mersat might have quite a vast amount of knowledge regarding the dragons. They might be able to help, so it could be very important, or the Mersat could play a very big role in this, and it could be that we, the player, have to cooperate with the Mersat, or defeat the White Mantle and force the Mersat to cooperate with us, or we're going to destroy the Mersat once and for all and take the knowledge that they left with us and try to use that on the dragons. That is definitely something that we might be able to look forward to. On the other hand, again, the egg is probably going to be important as well. We're going to see what comes out of the egg. Hopefully they're going to allow the Hag to hatch. We know that from Guild Wars 1 that Glint, who is the mother of the egg, had baby dragons, so they're basically gonna look like her, more or less, only smaller and younger, and they will have similar powers, most likely. But the question is it gonna be good or evil? That we don't know. I'm tending it to be good, because when Abaddon was destroyed in Guild Wars 1, he was an evil god, and when Cormyr took over his power, she said, like, alright, I have his power, but I'm not Abaddon. I'm not evil. I don't have his evilness in me. So I'm thinking that the egg is going to be good, but how we're going to use it, that is another question. And most importantly, how are we going to make the link? Because as we look back at Heart of Thorns, which was our latest story-driven content, our main story-driven content, the raids and the story of the raids is more side content, so to say. It might tie in later, but the main story of Heart of Thorns is actually where we last left the main story. Many different people from that story, or that were important in that story, want different things, and we don't know what a lot of them want as well. We haven't spoken to Logan, we haven't spoken to Zojja, we don't know what Casimir and Rox want. We don't really know. So the question is, are they going to unite under you? And are you going to lead them, or are they going to go their separate ways? Is Rytlock going to go back to Ascalon and try to get rid of the curse of the ghosts, or is he going to just follow you? He is a newly, he is a revenant right now. Maybe he can tell us some stuff about the underworld or the mist that he didn't tell us. That maybe he got some interesting knowledge about the dragons there. We don't really know. Taimi is still at Ratanovus, and the Ratanovans were adamant on destroying the Elder Dragons. They did a lot of research on the Elder Dragons, so she might come up with a whole bunch of new findings regarding the Elder Dragons, and that might be our segue into the New Living World, and the New Living World story. And then it's going to be a question of what's going to happen. I personally believe we're going to deal with bandits and Mersat, absolutely, and at some point we're gonna deal with the egg. Whether it's good or bad, we're gonna have to deal with it, or we're gonna have to deal with the residents of Taria. I believe that the egg is good, and I believe that the egg will help us, but we cannot be certain until we play the actual Living World Season 3, which they still haven't mentioned anything about, but these are the possibilities that they can go into. They can either work with the egg, mainly, they can work with the White Mantle, Bandits and Mersat, which would also be a great tie-in, or they could do something with Ratanovus and with the rest of the members of Destiny's Edge and your own guild. Maybe they want to start their own personal crusade or personal vendetta against one of the dragons and you come to their aid. We don't really know. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you believe is going to happen, how they're going to tie this all together. Tell me what you think is most likely to happen in Living World Season 3, and more importantly, how are they going to do it? Is it going to be mostly instanced? Is it going to be a combination of instance stories and open world meta events? Let me know, and I'll see you guys with the next video. Bye.